Welcome to the Cubbo Control deck profile. Usually you'd be seeing me in the corner or something like that, just a little vision prop of me. But unfortunately, lately I've had a very long and sudden conversation with the floor, so I want you to remember me for who I was and not who I am, which is bruised and miserable. So without further ado, let's go over the Cubbo Control. Control is very emphasized here. We're giving your opponent very little options, which includes discarding their hand and controlling the cards in which they use. Now, the lineup is Darkus Cubbo. He is the MVP of this deck and very, very irreplaceable. He is what makes the deck what it is. However, if we continue on to Nobilius and Cubbo, those two can be replaced by anything that sort of upgrades that faction. They are just big hitters, big numbers for either B-Power or Mac-Mock. That's why I suggest keeping Cubbo over the new Dawned Hydorus AV, because with 5 damage base and plus 6 damage on a Fire Fist is very pivotal for those Mac-Mock turns. So I feel like Cubbo still stakes its claim in this sort of deck, especially as you'll see is so Mac-Mock heavy or reliant. Now, Nobilius, I finally got a good mold that works. I personally do not like Nobilius because for the past 3 months I've been working with a dud that opens as it rolls, so whatever your preference is, this can be replaced by the new Dragonoid Ultra Pyrus from AV, but again, that is your preference. It's mainly because it having 2 damage is basically a non-factor, and plus you already have 2 shields, so what's the use in, avoiding your destiny and saying, oh, you know what, I think 3 shields is pushing it. But another note on Cubbo, on it not being replaced by Hydorus, is because it's Cubbo. This is Cubbo Control. If it doesn't have 2 Cubbos, what are you doing and what is the point? So with the lineup out of the way, let's get into the actual deck profile. The main reason you play the deck: 3. Hyper Cubbo Darkus style. It's 2 cost, and it has an underdog effect, which states when this opens, and if it has lower B than your opposing Bakugan, it gains an additional effect, in which Cubbo, in this instance, discards a card from your opponent's hand. So that effect can be used multiple times a turn with various rerolls and stuff like that to get the ball rolling, literally. And you just can discard your opponent's hand multiple times in a turn, leaving them with bare minimum to do, and they're just going to be top decking for the rest of the game unless they have a Llusion already live. In that case, they're going to be drawing more than you can keep up with, and that's just the inherent flaw with this deck. Some decks can keep up with just being able to discard a card. You're basically, if you run this, you're basically discarding their 1 Llusion plus a turn. Now you'll notice that while its B-Power is underwhelming, which is the point of the Bakugan itself, its damage is 1 higher than its base damage of 7, which that is not a con by any means. 8 damage on a Bakugan is ridiculous. On a plus 6 Fire Fist, that is hitting 14? That's 14 damage. Not a lot of things can keep up with that. So you basically get a free turn if you draw that Midas Indius or Mac in your hand, and when the AV becomes more readily available, April 15th, when Psycho Turtle gets their boxes and it can be more evenly distributed, we'll be able to get our hands on Dark Rages, and the deck will remain pretty stable. It'll remain typically the same, but there will be some variant, and I'll be more than happy to do a deck profile on the AV variant because I have an insane amount of fun with this deck. So we're gonna move on. 0 costs. Quick Fire. Of course, you run Pyrus, you run Quick Fire. It's just damage and then another reroll to get your Hyper Cubbo off. Ninja Gear, in case you want to abuse your Hyper Cubbo, okay? Ninja Gear allows you to retract. You can do some goofy stuff with that. It's not too shabby, but it's not too great. So that's why you want to run 2 at most in this deck. You could run 3. It's interchangeable, really. I am having a good time with 2. Now, another Pyrus staple, obviously, it's Super Fuel. Come on, guys. Super Fuel. If we want to get those early evos out, which it's a 2 cost, so why would you? Or even just keep re-rolling, You can Mac on turn 2. You can Wave Slash on turn 1 if you really need it. It just allows you to open up major plays, and it can allow you to get your ball rolling way faster than your opponent, because what I do typically is I roll for a core that's 4 away from what my opponent would have, and then I super fuel, putting that core out of the way, and what I'll do is I'll grab my opponent's core, even if I know I'm going to lose, and that is the point more often than not. And then I will use the super fuels effect to just play a shun, get my ball rolling while crippling my opponent by taking their core. There's multiple ways you can utilize this card. Super Fuel is amazing. I wouldn't say it's worth how much it is, given that I personally don't like to pay a lot of money for a card, but it's a good card. It just makes the deck work. Deep Dive, more rerolls. You're gonna see a lot of rerolls in this deck. That is the point. Deep Dive with Shun allows you to draw 2 for the price of 1 card. It is an amazing card to keep that momentum, keep drawing rerolls, and keep discarding your opponent's cards. Now, Dark Waters is just another reroll for namesake. Sometimes with Cubbo or Nobilius, you run into another Nobilius or Cubbo, or another power creep boy such as Hydra or Trox or Hydorus, and you just need that 200 boost to get over them, because not a lot of decks have a turn 1 unless they also have that Dark Waters or Super Fuel or Liquid Arts, etc., etc. There's not a lot of turn 1 plays in this game, so any chance you can have to win a battle is crucial. You don't prefer taking damage, but you can handle it. Now, Midas Indius, the main way we're going to be winning battles. Yes, Cubbo and Nobilius are very strong, but they do not last the long game. And even in the early game, they're not as powerful as they once were. They're surely being crept out, and you could easily replace Cubbo with Hydorus to keep that to at least tie, or make it so Dark Waters wins, but Midas Indius is going to be your main win con. And then, of course, Blinding Inks also being that as well, to Blinding Ink your opponent's Blinding Ink if they're trying to Blinding Ink your Midas Indius, or if they're trying to reroll, or, there's plenty of ways to where this can put you in a beneficial situation even if your B power is not strong enough. Blinding Ink is one of the main staple cards, so I really shouldn't even explain it. Now, we have 3 Wave Slash. As I explained with Super Fuel earlier, it's just a good card because 1,000 for 3 is way above par. Well, it is way above par. It's 400 above par. So, it's just a good addition. If you see blue, you're more than likely going to see this card. Now, Heroes. We have 3 Shun. As I said, it's good to get that momentum rolling. You're going to be re-rolling a lot. You're going to be landing a lot. You're going to be opening a lot. And this rewards you for doing that. This allows you to keep drawing your re-rolls, keep re-rolling, keep discarding your opponent's hand. You grow stronger while they grow weaker. So Shun is the reason this deck is pretty much working. Now Mac, just like Midas Indius, you can use this turn 2 with Super Fuel and various cheese and goofs and gags. So Mac is very crucial because we have big damage. That's pretty much it. 3 Darkus Snare magic shields are running around like chickens with their head cut off, and it's good to keep them at bay. 3 Darkus Snare just because they are so prevalent, but I would consider Constrictor going into AV format. I know that's a controversial take, but with Green Fists playing such a vital role in gear reduction and helixes being seen more, especially in the Ventus category or even Hydorus, I think it is going to be worth considering in the near future. Not now, since magic shields are still in the limelight, but I do believe that it is worth considering, especially for a deck that relies on not getting hit and just controlling your opponent, the pace of the game, essentially. Now, we have 2 Sonic Shields, essentially for the reason I just discussed with the Green Fist, but also with the Fire Fist, because for some reason these rogue Fury decks are just making their way through the local scene, just running through everybody, because no one, except for Haos with Confuse inherently, is prepping for that Fire Fist rogue matchup. Now, Fury is not in top tier by any means necessary, but it can sneak up on you if you are not prepared. That fast damage really quickly, if you're not prepared, you will die. Then we have 3 Pact of Darkness, because just like Aquos, you see blue, you see Blinding Inks, you see black, you see Pact. So that's going to finish off the deck. Yep, what is this, 8 flip lineup. I know someone with a Brawler Cafe background playing 8 flips may seem ridiculous, but you need to control the pace of the game. You cannot let your opponent get any sort of leeway. So that's the deck profile of Cubbo Control. I'm having a lot of fun with this deck. It is a good time. So if you want to try this deck, please give it the honest go. I know Hyper Cubbos are a little hard to obtain because Age of Aurelus, but if you happen to find them on TCG Player, and it will be on this week's Market Watch, it is well worth it. I really, really am enjoying this deck a lot. It's fairly cheap, besides the Super Fuels and the Shuns, but if you are playing this, and the packs, obviously, if you are playing this game and you're playing it competitively, you should already have a playset of all of those anyway. So just interchange the decks. You don't need 15 decks with like 30 super fuels and stuff like that. Anyway, thank you guys. You guys have a fantastic day. Enjoy. Make the most out of everything. I know we're stuck inside, but nothing better to do than to make a Cubbo Control, huh? Adios, bad boys.